Hey, everybody, welcome to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, hit those notifications, all the good stuff. What's on the menu today? We're eating Gilbert Grape with Myst. Myst, originally released in 1993, has been redone and released in August 26th of 2021 and developed by and published by Scion Worlds. Myst is a big old platform or a puzzly game, and it is besides the graphics, it's almost identical to the original. Let's find out what everybody's take is on this. Let's go to Pat. Pat looks like he's excited to get his out on this.
Yeah, you could tell this game was designed for VR with the remaster. I really had a lot of trouble with it on PC or console. I ended up having to leave and go play on PC again. And it is the same game. You can change up the puzzles and everything. So there's that. If you play the original, you can pick the other mode that changes up the puzzle and stuff like that. So it's not all just the same game as you played back in the 90s. For me, it's just a trip down nostalgia. I played quite a bit, and I was like, okay, I remember this game. It's good. It's still good. The updated graphics makes it easier on the eyes than what it was when it came out, so that's a good thing. But this game has been remastered so many times now. But you can really tell with the point and click that this game was designed for VR. Russ, what do you think of this one, man?
About the same boat. I did not finish the game. I didn't get near as much as I probably would have liked to in the game. But at the same time, it is a trip down memory lane. I can remember playing this game for, 7 hours straight. And now it almost felt like if I really did put that into it, I would be done with it within like 5, maybe 6 hours. But, and the internet is wonderful now, too. For those of you that may not know it, we didn't have internet back in the day when this game we did, but we didn't have it to the extent that we have it now. So you actually had to figure out the puzzles. Now it's a little bit simpler, a little bit easier, but it's a gorgeous look. I didn't really think about it until Patrick just said it. He's exactly right. I think the game was very much made for VR. I didn't even think about it that way. I didn't even realize that maybe it was on VR. That's how much attention I'm paying lately, but it definitely is a good looking game. They cleaned it up very well. Not a whole lot on this game. If you have ever played a Myst game, it's true to form, and it was like Peter said, a trip down memory lane. Nick, what about you, man? What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much the same sentiment you guys talked about. It's a trip down the memory lane, nostalgia. I remember playing Myst back in the day, and it's pretty much the same game I remember back in the day, except for it looks nicer. If you've never played Myst before, it's a good time to play a good classic game. If you played it before in the past, maybe it's a good time to revisit it. Or if you played it recently, then you're going to pretty much expect the same thing that you had before, except for you can, do the random thing that Patrick was talking about. There's a little extra mode that changes up the puzzles and stuff like that. So if you want some extra challenge, Myst is not an easy game to figure out. It's very cryptic in its puzzles and things like that. So, you spend most of your time trying to figure out what it wants you to do than, solving the puzzles. But once you figure it out, it does have a satisfying, like, oh, I've done it, that type of triumph there. But some puzzles can be very difficult to figure out. So it's a game of patience as well. If you don't have enough patience, like Russ said, go to the internet. There's great guides on how to do everything. You can coast through this game in no time. If that's what you want to do. But if you want to get trapped in the lore of Myst and other games like this, there was a lot of games similar to Myst that came out around the same time and maybe a year or two later that were great puzzle games like this. So, with this game getting that treatment, I hope some of the other ones, because there were some other ones I remember playing as a kid that I absolutely loved and would love to see them get this kind of treatment just like Myst did. But yeah, ultimately, if you've never played Myst before, it's a great game. So, Shane, what about you, man?
this is a hard game for me because I remember playing it years ago and on my brother's computer because I never had on my own at that time. Hell, I don't think I had my own until I was like late 20s. It's definitely a lot prettier. It is still hard as hell. I beat the game. I beat it. I ran home and finished it because I thought it was almost done the other day. And I hopped back in there to whip it out. It was like 3 hours later. Son of a wasn't there yet. But I did finally beat it. I did have to pull out guides. I did have to Google crap. I ain't even going to pretend I was smart enough to play this thing on my own. I had to pull up guides because, like you said, Nick, the clues and the puzzles in Myst, especially the first one, are cryptic as hell. It's like you have to find the puzzle within the puzzle. What the hell does that mean? Why can't I find this? Where is this located? How do I operate this? You spend a lot of time doing that. I wish they would have tightened up some of the clues a little bit, made them a little more understandable. But it's still Myst. I mean, that's what Myst was. I mean, it was, you could beat the game. I mean, that took a long time, but you could beat the game in probably 5-6 hours, like Russ said, if you know the puzzles. If you're really good with that kind of stuff, essentially. I'm not. But I enjoyed the game. It was definitely a flashback of me yelling at my brother's computer and him laughing at me and me calling his computer a piece of crap because the computer cheats and won't let me through the puzzle. But it's Myst. And if anybody has played Myst before, it's still Myst. They really haven't done anything but pretty it up. They added another mode. The audio on it sounds nice and clean. If I remember correctly, the audio wasn't that great in the original, but I'm trying to remember from 20 some odd years back. So, but anyways, did anybody like go ooh and ah and flashbacks, or I never beat it when it first came out because I sucked at it so bad. And like Russ said, internet wasn't something that was just easily obtainable.
No, I mean, I wish they would have added in a point and click mode into it. The VR thing is cool where you can freely move around because in the original Myst, you couldn't freely move around. You would click and it would take you to an area, and then you would look around, you would click and it would zoom you into the area. And the free movement's kind of a cool concept, except for targeting is sometimes off. And that's what I had trouble with on the controller, which is why I had to go back to the PC, because no matter it seemed like how much I messed with the sensitivity of the controller, it was just spastic. You were like, and I'm just like, no matter how much I adjusted it down, it seemed like it was way too much. So I moved over to PC and it was much, much better. Myst requires you to use pen and paper. As you can see, I've got my notes from my quests and puzzles here as I'm trying to write down the numbers and put in the sequences and stuff so I can remember it. So it's that kind of game. It's really meant to be enjoyed, a puzzle game to be enjoyed. Take your time, read the books, because the books tell you about the different areas and kind of some secrets of the puzzles. Yeah. We all got little cheat sheets because that's how you have to play this game. And the game,
I screenshotted all mine.
Well, the game has a snapshot feature inside of it. I don't know if you guys know that. If you press Y on the controller, it'll snapshot the screen so you can see the little puzzle. And if you press spacebar on the computer, it snapshots, and it has a photo album in the game that you bring up that you can use so that you'll be able to look at like screenshots of the puzzles. So,
I never knew that. I went through the whole thing. I basically killed the memory on my phone with freaking screenshots. I never knew that.
Right. So, there's stuff like that you can do in there. And as we all said, it has the randomizer mode if you played Myst. And if you played it recently, remembered, I played it back in the day. I don't remember half the puzzles. All I remember was the one thing that got you through a lot of it, which was the hints within the tower. So, but like I said, it was cool to do the VR mechanic thing where you can move around and just do this, but it got old pretty quick where I'm like constantly running around and getting stuck and my pinky toe hung up on something. And then, but it was a good game. It looks pretty. It does look pretty now. I mean, it looked pretty back in the day, but we didn't know what we were missing. And now we get to this time and they remastered it for VR. Too bad none of us have a VR setup to go check it out on. I'd like to say what it looks like on VR.
Hold on. Doesn't one of us have an Oculus Quest 2 now?
There you go. Nick, don't you?
Yeah, my son does.
Should hook it up to your computer and try it.
Yeah. Yes, you should.
It's kind of funny, Patrick. You were saying about the click to move. Because when I downloaded it on PC, because I mean that's what I remember playing on back in the day. And when I first got into the game, I'm like clicking, I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. Why am I not moving? And then I was like, I went WASD, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, man, I could have swore it was click and move back in the day. Maybe it was just the arrow keys or something, because WASD wasn't like the thing. The movement keys back in the day was always the arrow keys or something. I'm like, well, maybe it was like that. Like, I could have swore it was click to move. But yeah, I would agree. Like sometimes, like when you're going up and down, like if they're going to do that with the movement, I wish it would have done that with a lot of other things, like going up and down ladders and stuff. Was like, why can't I just press W to go up the ladder and D to go down the ladder? What do I have to click on it? And then having to move the mouse right onto the ladder to go down. It seemed like you had to really get it on that ladder or whatever you were doing to get it on there, because sometimes it just wasn't. It's like the icon wouldn't change until you just got in the right spot, and that was kind of annoying to get around. But otherwise, the movement, WASD moving around, that's a pretty cool idea. And yeah, I didn't know this was a VR ready game either, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why they did the whole movement thing with the cameras for that.
Just that first.
You two
click.
played on PC. Russ, did you play on Xbox?
No, I played on PC. I took Patrick's advice from the beginning when he had mentioned it. I think last weekend.
I went Xbox just to have the difference.
I mean, I think that we should get Patrick on a promo doing that, because that was fantastic. That's exactly what I was afraid of. So because I watched a little bit of a trailer before we played, and it was even just one of the very first books. It's the red book. I think it's Stylus, or I can't remember what his name is, but even just clicking on that book took
Cyrus.
Yeah, Cyrus took me a minute just to click on that, just to start that. It was like, I mean, I think that's probably why I didn't play more than a couple hours, because just that frustration in it alone. I don't remember having that type of frustration. And heck, I think we had like a 286 back in the day. And that was a horrible computer. And
you have VR to blame for that, because the old point and click locked you into a specific view. So you were like hovered right over it and you couldn't miss it. So, and that's what the VR thing is kind of did. It unlocked it. So you have to kind of like shimmy your character right in front of what you're trying to get to and click on it. Then it brings you into like that point and click, old school point and click view where you couldn't get out of it until you backed out of it. So, I mean, yeah, it took me a while to get used to that. That was the hardest part for me to get used to, because I kept always running past something or not getting it quite in focus right and trying to click on it and it wouldn't work. And I think the things that drove me the nuts the most were the puzzles where you have to turn something, because the point and click thing is kind of screws with that a little bit.
Yeah, the rotating a valve or something, that it just never felt right. It never felt like you should be using right bumpers on this at all. But I don't know. I played on the Xbox. I had to take my sensitivity and basically drop it through the floor because of those issues. But once I did, it really wasn't bad, but it was still too damn fast. It was still too, try to hit something. But I didn't even think about that until you're talking about when you're walking up and stuff with the point and click version. But the original, if I remember correctly, wasn't that static backgrounds all pre-render? So it was you have this, and then you have just like the old Resident Evil.
It like zooms in, yeah. It kind of like does this weird little zoom in, whereas now you're actually walking through the terrain.
Yeah,
which is why I don't know if any of you noticed that you can actually block doors from opening and closing if you walk into them and stuff. I noticed that a lot with this game, and it drove me absolutely nuts. Like an example is like when you're trying to walk in a door, if you push the button to open the door and walk into it, the door will stop opening or stop closing, because that happened
to me.
Yeah, it's a collision thing that's happening, because it's, back in the day, you couldn't point and click until the door fully opened, so you couldn't click outside the door and it would let you out. Now, it's like you can move freely into the door, and so collision happens with yours and your character. So, I mean, they got some minor bugs that they need to fix. I don't know if they're working on them or not, or going to come out with a patch, but they've got a few things I think they need to fix, Well,
the only real glitchy problem I had was the third map where you go in and you have to do all the sound recordings, the wind and all that stuff. I never got the achievements for it. and the door on the rocket only opened up halfway. I could still go in and out, but I mean, it was nothing, but I guess it was just a graphical thing, but it was weird. But the achievement thing pissed me off because I spent 3 hours on that level trying to do all the hidden stuff on there because there's little hidden achievements for getting all the blue pages and the red pages. So, but that was my only real glitchy issue, but it still pissed me off a lot because I was really trying on this game. You know, I had that, you know, much younger version of me is like, I'm going to beat it this time. I ain't giving up. No shitty computer here. And it just made me mad. But I enjoyed the game overall. I think I think there's a lots of changes that need to be made if they decide to bring out Myst 2, or you know, Riven or whatever they decide to bring out next. I think I would like to see if they're going to do VR, fine, do that on its own, but give a control scheme for PCs and consoles that work for PC and console. Don't try to mesh it in.
Yeah, so I liked it, but like I said, it's more of the same for me. I remember all of it. Once I started doing it, I was like, it all came back to me. So what really did kind of make it worse, and I probably should have just did the randomizers because I remembered where the whole tower hints and stuff were at. So I'm like, this kind of makes it a little easy. So, I mean, that stuff was probably bad. I should have did the randomizer, but I did, and I played standard mode, so maybe I'll try that again with the randomizer or something. But it's a pretty game. I'm not sure I would have picked it back up if it wasn't on Game Pass. You know, I've already played it. I'm one of those people who don't need to play something again, even if it's been remastered.
It's a great It's a great nostalgia game. No, I was gonna say it's a great nostalgia game, but it's. I mean, starving for a new game, starving for something that is different and everything like that. It was hard to continue through it. I mean, I swear the clock tower was like trying to do a Mortal Kombat fatality, trying to get that thing to work. It was so frustrating to me. So that's funny that Patrick said that because I was just thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, that clock tower was like, I literally felt like I was trying to do a Mortal Kombat fatality.
You got to hit the down left arrow just right so he doesn't. That's how it feels like turning every valve in that game on PC because you have to actually click it and hold it and drag it. Now you don't use RB and LB like you do on the console.
Yeah. Here's something that's really sad and embarrassing just to make this review go a little bit funnier. I get to the clock tower. I'm getting ready to put the time in on the clock tower. So I get the little handle here, the little handle here. I drag it over and I put it at the correct time, but I want to give the answer out. I'm stealing it. And then I take the other hand on the clock and I put it to here, hit the button. Nothing. What the hell? Looking at my phone. I know this is right.
He can't tell his little hand from his big hand.
No, worse. I totally forgot how to read a clock like that, and I had the hands backwards. I haven't even looked at a clock like that in I bet 10 years. So I'm like, is that right?
I'll let you borrow my daughter's Minnie Mouse analog clock.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, for me, I would have it's a good thing it's on Game Pass because I wouldn't have paid the $30 for it. I mean, it's a game I remember, and it is what it is. If you played it before and you got Game Pass, it's definitely worth checking it out again because it's been graphically enhanced and a lot of cool little features added. But in my opinion, if you played it and you're not a big fan of remasters like me, it's probably not for you. But if you've never played it, $30 is great waste of your time for 6 to 8 hours worth of gameplay because it's about that. If you do everything in the game and take your time, it's about eight hours.
Yeah, if you buy a mobile app, if you buy a mobile game and you spend $30 on a mobile game, I mean, you're not even going to get anywhere near the play time as this one.
Yeah, what about you, Nick? Would you pay cash or just keep this on Game Pass?
No, I wouldn't pay cash for it. I'm going to keep it on Game Pass. Yeah, as much as I love Myst, there was some other point and clicks that I loved a lot more. You know, I really loved back in the day, like Seventh Guest. Maybe for the theme, you know, that spooky like mansion theme. Under a Killing Moon, the Tex Murphy games and stuff like that, I really loved. And so, but Myst was also one of the ones I liked a lot too. So I just played a lot more of the other ones, maybe because they were a little bit easier. But still, I mean, because Myst was just, I mean, all the Myst and Revan and all those, they were just difficult, you know. But I remember playing them all as a kid and really liking them. But yeah, I wouldn't pay the $30 for it because I've already played it. But you know, if it, like you said, Pat, if you have Game Pass or Game Pass for PC, it's on both. So, you know, if you want to go down that nostalgia road, or if you've never played Myst before and you have Game Pass or Game Pass for PC, you know, check it out.
I think $20 would probably be a sweet spot as far as paying for it outright. It is more than 8 hours if you have to, you know, scrounge through it like I did. But I think Game Pass is the preferred way to play it. I just don't see it. If you played it before, I don't see replaying it unless you just truly love Myst. But if you've never played it before, it's definitely worth a check. And I think Pat and them are probably right. It's probably best to play it on PC than it would be on console because, like I said, I had to drop my controls down, you know, all the way and the sensitivity just to, you know, make it remotely comfortable. So, but I think overall the game looks pretty and played well. So, guys, you have anything else you'd like to bring up about this remaster? Excuse me, it's something
Remastered for VR.
Yeah,
it's been reheated.
Reheated
like
Gilbert Grape.
Or maybe irony this time.
All right. Well, nobody got anything else to add. Everybody, thanks for listening. Don't forget to click notifications and send us a message. Let us know what you think of the game, what you think of anything we've done, what you'd like to see us do. If there's a game coming up you really want to see reviewed by us, tell us. And until next time, see ya.